From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob Cairns. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief technologist at Studying Digital Marketing. In today's show, I have Remkus de Vries with me, and Remkus and I are going to talk about his application, Scanfullyapp for WordPress. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. This episode is brought to you by All-in-One WP Migration, the most trusted WordPress migration plugin with over 60 million sites served. Whether you are switching hosts, changing domains, or moving to a new server, All-in-One WP Migration makes it one click. Try it for free at WordPress.org or visit servemass.com for pro features. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. And on today's show, I have my good friend, Mr. Remkus de Vries with me, a man who needs no introduction in the WordPress space. Hey Remkus, how you doing today?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing good. We were just chatting and I was saying, we've been on, I think this week in WordPress together 2 or 3 times with our good friend, Mr. Nathan Wrigley a couple times.
Yep.
We've known each other in the space for a long time. You've been in the space a long time. I've been in the space a long time. We'll talk about your new product, Scanfully, today, which I'm really happy you did. But I have to ask you, and I've never asked you, how did you end up in WordPress? Like, how did that journey sort of happen?
Well, it's first of all, it's been quite a while. Around 2004, I decided to switch from being employed to being self-employed, and I needed a website. I asked a good friend of mine who I knew was building websites at the time, like, can you make me one? And he goes, sure. I said, but it's quite a bit of work, so I can't do it for free. And I'm like, fine. So we discussed it, he built it, and he delivered it. And when I saw it, I was happy, but I went like, there's a little bit missing here. And I go, can you add that? And he goes, sure, but that's the amount of work that I would have to put in, pretty much the same. So I would have to charge you the same again. And mind you, this was a friend, so he was already lenient. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like a lot of money investing. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. So I started diving into CMSs. I landed on Mambo, quickly moved to Joomla, and then the year after, I was kind of done. And I'd seen WordPress as this is a thing, but that was just a blog, and I at that point didn't care too much for a blog just yet. And then WordPress added Pages, which is end of 2005. And I saw that as the opportunity to teach myself how WordPress works. And at the time I already built quite a few client sites as well. So I ported all of my sites and their sites from Mambo/Joomla to WordPress, and the rest, as they say, is history. So it's been more than 20 years now.
Yeah, I like that story. It's a lot of us have started in this community about fulfilling our own need, and then we've gone on from there. And yours is another one of those stories.
Yeah, so as soon as I built my first site, there was another friend who said, that looks good. Could you make me one? And I'll go, well, that's not how I was going to go into business, because I was going to do project management and teaching. Project management tools, that sort of stuff. And I had been doing that on the side. I just wanted to make it more official. I had a good way of making that transition. So I was like, the website thing is just a side thingy. I didn't think it was going to be more than 5% of my total revenue. But within 6 months, it was my absolute total revenue. And I was like, hold on, this is interesting. I like doing this. This is fun to do. I like understanding the tool, working with it. If people keep asking, why don't I keep saying yes? So I did.
I have to ask you the question. Blocks or page builder?
I have in the period when Beaver Builder came up. That is the only actual page builder that I've used for maybe 3-4 years. As soon as blocks were viable, I switched to blocks, and I still only use that. I play with others, but if I touch other page builders, it is mostly converting a WordPress site from a page builder to full site editing. And if I were to use a page builder now, the only option to me would be Etch. Yeah, I mean, and then Etch, it is a page builder, but it's also synchronizing to the block. So it's more of a facilitator towards blocks than it is a full-on page builder like Elementor or Bricks or whatever it is. So yeah, full site editing for me.
Yeah, me too. So I've been in that camp since full site editing launched. It's been a fun road.
Yeah,
I made the
challenging.
I made the fun, challenging mistake of taking a site at the time with 300 podcasts. Now there's over 600. And I moved it over to full site editing on a live site bit by bit.
Yeah.
Do not do that. That's a
no.
bad fun experiment, bad idea.
Yeah. So I used my own site as when full site editing came in when it was part of Gutenberg, the plugin. I turned on the feature and I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's see how it goes. And I played with it on my live site, and I don't know, what is it now? 4 years, 5 years?
It's been that long, yeah.
Yeah, about. And it's not perfect by no stretch of the imagination. But we have good ways of working with it now. I'm a big fan of Ollie, the theme put out by Mike McAllister and Patrick Posner. It covers the angles that full site editing does not cover well. It's a good foundation in terms of the patterns and stuff that it adds onto it. Again, it's not perfect, but for the vast majority of sites, it works just fine. And for all of those sites that it doesn't work fine, I would have had to create custom code for that anyway. So I'm like,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I think Mike is another person who's well known in our community, and I think Mike's done a really good job over there. So,
I think excellent.
Yeah, no question. You are a performance nut, as I like to call you, or guru would be.
Yeah. I'll take it.
I know you are, and I've followed you for a long time. And one of the things you're always talking about is performance. And
Yeah.
then you came out with this neat product called Scanfully, which I
Yeah.
absolutely love because it's right up that line. Now, I have to ask you, first of all, why did you develop the product? And this is a crowded space. There's other tools out there that are not necessarily WordPress specific that do a lot of the same things. So why'd you jump?
Yeah. So I came up with the idea for Scanfully a few years back, and I shared it with a good friend of mine who helped me out on some more complex builds inside of WordPress, Barry. And I asked him, like, in my head, this sounds like a good thing to build. And he goes, it sounds like a really good idea. And I'd love to help you with it. So we ended up starting Scanfully with the idea of, we are inside of WordPress, we understand WordPress, and we understand where the pain points are. So let's build from that perspective. And you're right, there are other tools out there that do similar stuff. Even tools that you just do one or two things that we're doing. But we picked our name, Scanfully, for a reason, because in my mind, in our minds, it is a tool that essentially covers all the angles. So while we look at certain performance metrics, one of the things we quickly identified is it's not just about the performance of the raw performance of the site, but what also counts towards performance is anything on the usability end of things, the site health, so broken links, broken embeds, that sort of stuff. Most people don't count that towards performance, and And we specifically do for the reason that the perceived performance of your site is not just the speed. That's one element of it. It's also how well does the page actually work that I am on. So we have a whole bunch of stuff built over the past year that certainly is at the edge of what we would consider performance, but they all hook into site health or content health, however you want to call it, which then relates back to the performance. Because if there's no 404s loading and other assets being, behaving weirdly, your page actually renders faster. So you want all those types of things and different angles also covered. So we're currently in the phase where we are expanding content health in the largest sense. So we've added a whole bunch of monitoring tools for that. Broken links being one, email notification monitoring. So is your site actually able to send an email? Is one of those things you wouldn't normally connect to performance, but performance again is a widely measured metric, not a singular. Just let me look at the time to first byte and call it a day, or maybe add core web vitals. Sure, very important, all of it. But you can have a high scoring core web vitals site technically scoring perfectly, yet experienced as a slow or annoying site. So we want to cover all the angles. And we have 2 features lined up for the rest of the year, and then it's time to look at you take a step back and I say it's time. We've already done that, and we'll look into how to integrate a whole bunch of more. Let's call it closer to WordPress and WordPress's own behavior type of monitoring.
Okay. I think one of the things that struck me is not only doing things like you're checking the uptime of a site, which everybody thinks is important, agree.
Yeah.
But you're even embedding something smart like an activity log. So
yeah,
you don't have to go get a third-party activity log plugin. You're offering that. And I think
correct.
I think people who are using websites that are managed by multiple people and not running an activity log, and you're supporting that on a care plan or any of that stuff, you're just asking for trouble, because I know from experience, the finger pointing starts. Did you do this? Did you do that?
Exactly.
Did you mode that? And we all look at each other and say, oh, I don't know who caused the problem. And they say, not me, not me, not me.
Yeah, certainly the client will never say it's their cause. Yeah.
I have a political site that has 12 users on it, and they all deny. Now, fortunately, only one admin besides me. So that's the good news. But they all say, oh, I didn't do it. And then when I start pulling stuff out of a log and pointing to it and saying, well, I think you did. Oh, that wasn't me. And then my next question is, okay, who did you share your ID with that I should know about? I think that's key, to be honest.
We built it for that purpose. Now, granted, there are solutions out there that cover way more, but we have the most important stuff in there. That's not to say we're not going to be adding onto it. We will. There's a whole layer of the types of things you can do to a site that aren't necessarily through a login. So anything you do to your hosting environment, a change here, a PHP upgrade, all those sort of things, all of those things we will start logging, because it's from if you've ever been in the debugging of your client calls, mails, whatever, it says, help, my site is foobarred, help. And you go, okay, let me look at it. What is the last time you saw it when it was working perfectly? You go, I don't know. Well, is it a week ago? Is it a month ago? Is it a day ago? When was the last time you know for sure? And then from there, you start, diving into what's actually happening here. And sometimes those changes, when you ask that question, you think about, when did I log in and change something? And they'll rightfully answer, oh, it's been 2 weeks. But they have been in the panel, right? So we want to make sure that we're covering all our bases. Again, the name Scanfully is purposely chosen to say scan fully. We want to scan for as much as we can, and we also want to, what we cannot scan, allow you to record that as well. Just be the one source of truth. And then the activity log is for all the important stuff. So plugins, themes updated, permalinks changed, for instance, that's a good one. You know, to have those types of things in there.
I think, you know, and I think like your price point is a no-brainer. I'm going to be honest with you. So I was going to jump on it a couple of weeks ago myself. That's what got me interested. And I was telling you, I got a lot going on in my life right now. So, you know, it's been delayed a little bit. One thing you guys do is you offer a 14-day free trial, right?
Yeah.
No credit card required, folks. So if you're worried about that, and what I would tell you is I wouldn't worry about Remkus having a credit card info, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, I think he's
It'd be weird if that was a concern. Yeah.
And not hard to find, right, my friend? And
yeah. I kind of stick out.
Yeah, you do. And but to be fair, I think a 14-day free trial is rare these days because you're giving everybody the function. And then you have an intro offer where you're only charging like $2.99 a month if you get in on it now. I would say at that price, you are insane if you do not jump at it for what it does. I think that's just silly insane.
I agree. So a little on that. So at some point that price is going to go up because we keep adding new functionality. I think we've more than doubled what we started with, and we are essentially at the same price point. We have added email notification monitoring again. So does your site still allow you outgoing emails? So somebody fills out a form. Is that email actually being sent? A password reset, all that sort of stuff. So we check for that, but that's 50% of what we wanted to check. We want to check if forms actually work. So if a form works, that means we check for is it actually embedded on the site? And then can you actually fill out the fields? And then can you actually hit that submit button? So those are the types of checks we're adding now. And when we've done that, we're going to port that to everything e-commerce, meaning the same types of checks, but then it's a product. Can you add it to cart? Is it in the cart? Can you go to the cart? Can you start the checkout process from cart? Can you fill out the form for the checkout? Can you actually start the payment? Those are checks we're going to do next. Once we have that in, we're going to change our pricing because at that point we're delivering, in our opinion, so much more. So we become valuable for anybody running any business site where the call to actions and all that sort of stuff and the landing pages are just too important for them to fail. You can optimize the hell out of a page, but if your collecting of emails doesn't work, you have a problem. And for e-commerce, we're going to make it to be such a no-brainer for anybody on any WooCommerce site, because that's what we'll start with. We're going to check the whole path, make sure you can actually depend on your checkout to work. So obviously, when you do updates and all that sort of stuff, you should check, you should monitor, you got to make sure yourself. But there's so many different angles that it's close to impossible to fully cover all angles. And fortunately, from a programmatic standpoint, we can. So that's what we're building, and then prices will change.
And I think this is the key. You were talking about forms. Do you know how many site owners don't check their forms? And I know.
Oh yeah.
I have clients that come to me and say, I want to be on a security care plan. One of the things I offer. And the first thing I look at is their forms and say, when was the last time you checked your contact form? I don't know, 6 months ago. And I said, really? Not only are plugins out of date, not only is your WordPress version out of date, but your forms aren't working. Did you even check them?
Yeah.
And they're looking at me like, no. And I think you're going to have some challenges there because with forms, you're dealing with multiple form products, right? The big ones. And does that cause some challenges in coding the plugin?
I mean, so everything, and I do mean literally everything that we've built as a component, a monitoring service, or literally anything that we have built inside of Scanfully is modular. So we're assuming that we don't know the full extent of what we're going to have to monitor. So we built everything as modular as we can. So it's super easy to say, if we're checking forms, then the checking logic is the same for every single form. However, if you're running Gravity forms or Ninja forms or WS form or any of the larger forms, there's going to be differences in how we approach or collect certain data. Contact form, for instance, notoriously does not store anything on site. So how do we monitor there? Well, up into the monitoring level, it's all the same. And then for every single version out there, we'll have a very specific compatibility file. But we build it to a fashion that we have as much shared logic as we can possibly create. And that's the logic we're going for. So yes, it's annoying that there's 12 popular WordPress forms. However, 12 compatibility files is relatively easy to do. They'll be relatively light. The vast majority of our logic, our code is inside the modular levels that are below that. So it's a challenge, but it's, one that if you think about how you're going to do the thing you want to do let me not assume that whatever I'm building now is the final version. That sort of thinking forces you to look at the output of your code differently than just writing a class that has the thing in it and, next. This is a much more maintainable way of writing code.
Yeah. And anybody who's like offering a care plan or a site owner, just the form checking alone and the email checking that you're building in.
Yeah.
That is worth it because people struggle with that stuff all the time. And then talking about the whole e-commerce side. And we all know e-commerce is complicated. Like we know that. You and I both know that. And to have something to check the whole process all the way through is important because when I start dealing with e-com clients, most of my e-com clients, when was the last time you checked your checkout process? When I launch the site, if I'm lucky.
Yeah, not many do.
Not many do. And they wonder why the checkout process doesn't work properly. Like it's really interesting. And now here you're going to hand somebody a tool that's going to do it for them. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, so all of the features that we currently have planned have started from our own experiences. Like we have the same clients that never check any of the whole process. They just blindly update WooCommerce and its plugins and just assume everything works. Oh yeah, okay, I need to clear the cache. Fine, I've done that. Yeah, but it's not about clearing the cache. It's checking for all the possible angles that are potentially, there's cases where certain products, because you're doing something with those certain products, they don't get added to cart. The thing will say is like added to cart, and then you go and you keep shopping. And then there's stuff that's just not in the cart. People forgot that they put it in the cart, but they have other stuff in there and they check out and go, everything worked just fine. No, it didn't, because there's stuff that didn't get handled proper. And the same can be said for literally every single step along the way of from the product to having checked out. Once we have that first version in there, we're going to look at the back end as well. Like there's stuff happening in the back end we want to monitor for as well. Are the invoices sent? Is an external API that you have connected as a plugin, is that being reached? Does that still work? Sometimes some API of some, accounting software is down for a moment or not, or whatever. You want to know, because in an ideal world, your plugin that handles that bridge, that connection, they will buffer the work. And then when the connection is there, they will then process it. But that's an ideal world. Most of the times that doesn't work that well. You also want to know if your action scheduler is just full of outdated stuff that it needs to process. That's an indicator of a site not being healthy, thus not performant. So yeah, it's a huge feature that requires us to rethink so many ways of how do we properly check this? Because we know the scenarios, we have the clients, and we are talking to all the people at the WordCamps and whatnot, understanding the same type of limitations that everybody's running into. And that's not even, for instance, we spoke briefly on the page builders, but there's so many stuff built inside of page builders as well that we need to take care of handling those checks as well. There's stuff happening inside of Elementor that if you turn a setting on or off, that has a huge impact. And if then WooCommerce is added to the mix, it has a mega impact. Like, you want to know. So, so we're building it.
You were just at WordCamp US.
WordCamp Europe.
Sorry, WordCamp Europe.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Yeah.
How was the reception to your product while you were at WordCamp?
Good. Lots of conversation with people asking. They're very curious about our roadmap. So they like what they see, but there's some overlap with, like you said, other tools. Our distinguishing features are yet to be. I mean, I think some of them are already in there, but our biggest distinguishing features are yet to be released. And they love talking about it. They love seeing where our vision is. We are taking our time. Barry and I, we have not taken any money. We have been offered offered money by investing parties. We've said no. Because it gives us the freedom to build in the tempo that we can manage. It is a side business which has the intention to become a main business, but we don't want to rush it. And from the moment we launched, which was technically 2 years ago, till now, we've had, life happen to us. So we've had to pause active development in the tempo that we were doing it for a moment or two. That sort of thing is impossible if you are, having to return an investment rather soon. So we're doing this on our own dime. We're doing this on our own tempo. And lots of the conversations at WordCamp Europe were that we had with regards to Scanfully were in this realm. Like, okay, what are you guys doing now? What is next? There's some really good feedback received as well. So I like what you're doing here, but my scenario, our case, blah, 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 blah. So it's been a really good, fruitful WordCamp for us.
Yeah, I've got all kinds of use cases in my head as we're talking for using this. So my brain is just churning right now, Remkus.
Good. Good.
I think, again, the price point, and I'm looking at it, and I'm sort of looking at a list of some of the features I wrote out before we got on the show, and I'm looking at this saying I could consolidate some tools here too. I'm one of these
probably.
I'd rather run one tool than run one here and one there. I don't like doing that. I just think it's a bad idea. Does the plugin have any big performance hit to the WordPress system, or from your standpoint, your performance?
Close to zero. So what the plugin does is essentially basically two things. One, it connects it connects your site to our dashboard. And if I may boast here a little bit, I think it's the most frictionless way of connecting to a external service. All you have to do is click one button, and you need to be logged into both, sure, but you just click that one button and your site is connected. There's no copying, pasting of API keys, that sort of stuff. So that's one component. And the other component is collecting data, but we send the data in an async way. So it's not on request, it's just dripping the data towards us. We purposely want to be as low impact as possible in what the plugin does. So when you have a lot of activity on the site, sure, there's a little bit of an impact because we're filling out the activity log, but we've done it in such a way where the impact is minimal. Again, we love performance, so.
Well, that's your bank, right? So I would expect nothing less from you for some reason.
And you'd be right. That's, as we're building, that is the number one question we have. That's the number one angle we're wanting to make sure that we cover properly. Because, And like I said in the beginning, we expand what is performance much wider than what most people automatically would consider.
I really appreciate this, and I appreciate you and your partner building this. Like, I think
Well, thank you.
it's really good, and I appreciate what you give to the community. You've been in it a long time. You understand. We've had our trials and tribulations in the last 2 years. I'm not
We had.
into them. I
Nope.
don't want to. Nope. But you and I have been around long enough to know what's going on. So we appreciate that. And if somebody wants to find out more besides going over to scanfully.com, how's the best way?
Yep, that's the best way.
Okay. And you're reachable on X as always.
I'm on many places. If you want to learn more of what I do and where I am, go to remk.us.
And you are always up for a good conversation. I know that. So,
Always.
Remkus, thank you for your time, sir. And I wish you well with the project. And I hope it all goes well.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. My pleasure, my friend. Thanks again to our sponsor, All-in-One WP Migration by ServeMask. Export your entire WordPress site in one click, import it anywhere. No server access needed, no command line, works with every hosting provider. Free on WordPress.org, or extension at servemask.com. A very special thank you to Remkus for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. The SDM Show is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much every day. My mother, Ann Cairns, who's still doing really well and is an inspiration. And of course, Tiz Maroney. And Tiz, I know I've said it, but thank you so much for all the inspiration you give me every day.